The Capuchin Catacombs of Sicily's underground city of the dead. Imagine walking beneath the streets of Palermo, Sicily. The air becomes colder, the light disappears, and then, as you enter a narrow underground corridor, you realize something terrifying. You are not alone. Along the walls stand thousands of preserved human remains arranged in silence. Monks, men, women, children, priests, and wealthy citizens. Welcome to the Capuchin Catacombs of Palermo, one of the world's most extraordinary underground cemeteries. But how did this place begin? The story goes back to the late 16th century when Capuchin friars in Palermo needed a larger cemetery beneath their monastery. Around 1597, they began excavating new underground chambers. Then came a discovery that changed everything. When the friars moved bodies from their old burial area, they reportedly discovered 45 monks whose bodies had naturally mummified and remained remarkably preserved. To the friars, this seemed almost miraculous. Instead of hiding the bodies away, they placed them in niches along the walls. And that was the beginning of something unlike almost any cemetery in the world. The first body placed in the new catacombs was Fra Silvestro de Gubbio on October 16, 1599. But soon, the catacombs became more than a resting place for monks. During the following centuries, wealthy people of Palermo began requesting burial there. In 1783, the Capuchins officially allowed lay people to be buried in the catacombs, provided they could afford the preservation process. And then, something strange happened. Death became a matter of social status. The dead were arranged according to categories such as profession, sex, and social position. Families could visit their deceased relatives and see them preserved in the clothing of their time. The underground cemetery slowly transformed into what the Capuchins themselves describe as a kind of museum of death. But the most haunting part isn't simply the number of bodies, it's the feeling of the place. Imagine walking through a dim stone corridor and seeing row after row of silent figures surrounding you. No voices, no movement, only centuries of history staring back from the darkness. And among all those preserved remains, one tiny figure became perhaps the most famous of them all. Her name was Rosalia Lombardo. Rosalia died in 1920 when she was only 2 years old. Her remarkably preserved remains became one of the most famous sights inside the catacombs. Today, she is often called the world's most beautiful mummy. Her preservation is especially remarkable because it was achieved through an advanced embalming technique attributed to physician Alfredo Salafia. And this raises an unsettling question. Why did people want their loved ones to remain visible long after death? Perhaps the answer isn't simply fear. Perhaps it was love. For families centuries ago, a grave meant separation. But inside these catacombs, the dead remained physically present. They could still be visited, still remembered, still part of the family. Yet over time, the tradition came to an end. The cemetery was officially closed in 1880, although exceptional burials followed, including Rosalia Lombardo in 1920. Today, the catacombs remain a powerful historical site. The official Capuchin Catacombs website describes the place as somewhere where the living meet the dead. And perhaps that's the real mystery. There may be no ghosts walking through these corridors, no supernatural creature waiting in the darkness. But standing among thousands of people who lived centuries before us can create something even more unsettling, a direct confrontation with time. Every face once belonged to someone who had a family, a profession, dreams, fears, and a life. And now, their world exists only in silence beneath the streets of Palermo. So the next time you hear the phrase, underground city of the dead, remember the Capuchin Catacombs, because this isn't just a horror story, it's a place where history refused to disappear. If you enjoyed this journey into one of Sicily's darkest historical mysteries, don't just leave yet. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because the next story may take us somewhere even more mysterious. And here's your final question. If you could safely walk through the Capuchin Catacombs for one night, would you dare to enter, or would you stay outside? Tell me your answer in the comments. Until the next mystery, keep watching, keep wondering, and never stop exploring the places where history meets the unknown.